Hi, this is George Mueller, and this video is a little bit of a review for folks who missed the first day of History 101 in the ABE program. If you're not one of those students, this will make a lot less sense to you and be a lot less worthwhile. It's not really an overview of ancient Egypt. It's really a few notes on things that you should pay extra attention to in the textbook. If you don't have that textbook, this will be a lot less useful. The first thing I wanted to note is just how much time we're talking about in prehistory. Prehistory is the era before the invention of writing, and it goes back a very, very long time. Homo sapiens sapiens, that's modern humans, arrived somewhere around 200,000 years ago. And they first appeared probably in Africa, almost certainly. The reason I say almost certainly is there are a few people who dispute that and make credible claims for Asia as the cradle of mankind. Probably not. But people did very quickly spread. Homo sapiens sapiens moved out of Africa and into the rest of the world relatively quickly. Now, these dates should be taken with a grain of salt because, quite frankly, new discoveries push the dates back by the hundreds and even thousands of years regularly. But nonetheless, humans spread very quickly out of Africa into Europe and Asia, North and South America, Australia, pretty much every piece of land except Antarctica. Now, for history proper, really starts around 3000 BCE. This is when writing began, and in particular, we're going to be focusing on Mesopotamia and Egypt and the area in the Middle East. But this graph does do a good job of showing you that there are other civilizations that appeared in the same general time. Egypt was an interesting country, and still frankly is. Geography has a huge impact on Egypt. Egypt is a relatively small ribbon of fertile soil in the middle of a vast desert. Without irrigation, it's impossible to raise anything in Egypt. With irrigation, massive crops are possible. Egypt is incredibly fertile if properly irrigated. Egypt has a very long history. As you can tell, Pharaonic Egypt really goes for 3,000 years. That is a very old civilization. And if you think about it, that means that the Egyptians had more history under the pharaohs than without. Egyptian art is very distinctive. It was intended to serve a representative and magic purpose. So it's not representative in a visual sense of the real world. Instead, it's intended to convey the important parts of its subjects for preservation in a spiritual sense. And that's why the Egyptians so commonly show the profile picture that shows both arms, both legs, shows an eye and the profile very clearly. Egyptians are most famous for the pyramids. Here are the Great Pyramids of Giza. I love this picture because it lets you know just how close the Great Pyramids are to the capital city of Cairo. They're really being encroached by the city. Now, this is another example of art, and you can see the Egyptians didn't have to stick with just this stylized way of showing things. They did it for people, but their representations of animals are much more natural. This is another piece of grave art. One of the purposes of putting this kind of art in a grave was if you couldn't take something with you physically into the afterlife, like actually take it and bury it with you, if you took a statue of it or a painting of it, then you took the spirit of it. And here's people gathering grain. This is wheat in particular. Now, pyramids served as a statement of the pharaoh's authority, and they were temples. where the pharaoh could be worshipped after death. In their era, the pyramids were surrounded by temple buildings, and they would serve as a place for worshippers to go and visit. And because people were visiting and making sacrifices there, it was an ongoing source of income for the pharaoh's family. Now, you've probably heard a lot of theories about how the pyramids were built, like this guy. And I'm just going to say it wasn't aliens. The fact is, we have a really clear evolution of the pyramids. Early on in pre-pharaonic Egypt, you had tombs called mastabas, made of mud bricks. They're about 30 feet high and look like a bench. And then we have a number of experimental pyramids. Were not all perfect. This is the bent pyramid. It was being built at too high an angle, was going to be too tall and structurally unsound, so they had to change it in the middle. This is a pyramid that actually had its outer shell collapse. So the pyramids definitely weren't all successful. The Great Pyramid, on the other hand, is both structurally sound and quite beautiful. It's also relatively intricate on the inside. Now, pyramids were built partially as a visual representation of Egyptian political philosophy. And this philosophy is based around an idea called ma'at. Ma'at translates as order, but it also means truth and justice. They're all the same concept in Egyptian governmental philosophy in the ancient world. And this represents the Egyptians' experience with irrigation. You have to keep things orderly, you have to keep things working, you have to keep things organized, or everything will fall apart. Really, though, the pharaoh had little to do with running Egypt day to day. He was considered an emissary of the gods, kind of a minor god of his own. And as such, he has political, military, economic, and social duties. And also he has lots of religious duties. That means a lot of the day-to-day organization of Egypt was left to the vizier. The advantage to this is if things don't work, if the irrigation system fails, you don't necessarily have to blame the pharaoh. You can blame a vizier who, because he's not divine, can be fired. Now, for those of you who missed class, there are a couple of things you need to do to make up for missing class. One is write out in an email to me and send it through Canvas answers to these questions. Name 3 things that made the government of ancient Egypt unique. Name 3 things that made the culture of ancient Egypt unique. And explain briefly why the Egyptians built pyramids. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Otherwise, I'll see you in class next week.